Hey y'all, I just did a post about this and I wanted to talk about it because usually I don't do a blog about something unless it's stuck on my brain and I just want to talk about it for a minute so you get to hear me talk about it. I'm talking about leadership, a topic close to my heart, and what makes a successful leader. I talked about some qualities in another video, but I started doing more research and I found that research has proven that over and over, one of the highest determiners, the determining factor, if I could get this out of my mouth, in the success or failure of a leader is their level of self-awareness. Self-awareness. What does that mean? To be aware of yourself. I'm here. No, it's so much more than that. Being self-aware is knowing your weaknesses, knowing your strengths. It's knowing how you're being perceived. It's being aware of what others think about you. If you're accomplishing what you think you're accomplishing in reality. Because sometimes we have an idea and we know our heart. I know what I meant. But consistently, if people are taking me the wrong way or they're being offended or they don't like me, then something's wrong. We all have bad days. We all have bad moments. We're not nice and chipper all the time. We make mistakes, we have bad days, and people will give you allowances for that as a leader. But it's the overriding influence, your type of personality, your communication style, your body language, your integrity, different things. How are you being perceived by your followers? If you can be aware of that, not only be aware of it, but embrace it and make the necessary changes, wow, you're just going to skyrocket and really grow. Those leaders who considered to be the most successful had the highest level of self-awareness. So it's not only being aware, which it's taking that information and acting on it, and not being depressed by it or defeated by it. That kind of awareness takes something called EQ, which is a whole other topic I may do a video on. And EQ stands for emotional quotient or emotional intelligence, and that's your ability to be aware of yourself and your surroundings and others, and not only be aware of the situation and the emotions happening, but to adapt accordingly. So that's a whole other topic. But so how do you know what they think of you? Well, if you have high EQ, then you can read when people are distant, or their body language, or you're supposed to be a leader, and you don't have any followers. So you need to be looking around and saying, hey, what's going on? So you can just innately have that gift and that awareness and tune into it and say, okay, I can see that I'm coming across this way. I need to adjust this. Or you could actually do an evaluation. And that's pretty brutal. I mean, no one's going to just willingly, hey, take a shot at me, critique me. But, there's really no other way around getting truthful, honest answers where people don't feel threatened. So you probably have to do it anonymously. I had to do these leadership evaluations as part of my graduate program. And I'm sure they were all extra nice because they knew I would know who they were. So for the most part, they were really nice. But I did receive some areas that I could use improvement on. And I was like, you know what? They're right. I do need to work on that. But it helped me to see that they could see that, and that they're good at some things that I'm not good at, and that I could be more aware of that weakness and delegate it, let them help me with it, or that I could personally work on it. Anyway, so these evaluations, there's all kinds. You can go look online. There's a 360 evaluation. There's all kinds of evaluations, but bosses need to do this. Teachers, even students like me, leaders in any capacity, you would benefit from something like this every now and then, although it can be very painful. But looking in the mirror, for me, is generally very painful anyway. But so I just wrote down some questions. If you'd be brave enough to ask your followers these questions. If you're not brave enough, that's okay. But what if you did a moment of true self-reflection and you asked these questions of yourself from the perspective of your followers? And what do you think they would say? And maybe that would be a wake-up call, and you could begin to make some changes to increase your influence, because that's what you want to do if you are a leader. So the key is, when you get the answers, Don't justify them. Well, I had the right to do this, or they just think this. Stop justifying. Just listen. Be open to receive that, even though it hurts. Try the shoe on and see if it fits you. Because even if it's not your reality, it is their reality. And their reality does affect your reality. Okay, so it's not just all about what you think. It is important to go around the other side of things and see what they think. So here's some questions that you could ask yourself or your followers. Do you think I'm rude? Not the other day when I let the door shut in your face, or when I was having a terrible day, but I mean consistently across the board, would you say in general, I'm a rude person? Sometimes I'm not rude, but most of the time I'm rude. Would you say I'm rude? Am I rude to you? Am I rude to other people? Have I ever embarrassed you? I know my kids would say yes. The next question would be, do you think I would intentionally embarrass you? Do you think that's my motive, is just to shame you? Like on a regular basis, do I have any regard for how my interaction with you in public leaves you feeling? That's called your emotional wake. Also is a thing that you can look up under the Fierce Conversations book. What is my emotional wake? That means when I leave the discussion or leave the room, what is the atmosphere that I left behind? How do people feel after I've just been there? And the ripple of my actions, my attitude, my demeanor, like a boat leaves a wake in the water. What's my emotional wake? Do I leave people feeling lifted? Or, I don't know what the other opposite, lifted or crushed, or relieved that I left? Am I consistent in my temperament, and I'm up and down, up and down, up and down? If I'm having a good day, all the kids are like, yeah, we're going to have a good day. And if you walk in, the employees are like, ooh, she's having a bad day. And your mood determines everybody else's behavior for the rest of the day. Or is it just pretty much even, Steven, just even kill? Is my temperament pretty consistent, or am I Jekyll and Hyde? And if the answer is no, you need to be aware of that and work on that. Another question is, do I help you succeed at what's important to you? Is there a goal that you're trying to achieve that doesn't serve me, but I want to help you get there? Am I helping you achieve something that's important to you as a leader? Because I want to be that kind of leader. Am I verbally supportive? I can appreciate you all day long, but if you don't ever hear me say it, I may not be aware. If I'm not a verbal person, if I'm not a words of affirmation person, then I need to be aware that even though I am emotionally supportive, I support you inside of me, I need to verbally communicate that to you. And do you feel like I have your back? If you had a special need or circumstance, do you feel like I would go out of my way to my own hurt or at my own expense to help you? Or if somebody was trashing you, do you think that I would take up for you? And you might be surprised at the answers. Do you think that I like you? Do you think that I care about you? Would you consider me a good role model for your kids? If not, why? If so, if not, why not? And if yes, then why? What about me would you want your kids to pick up on? What about me would you want? Don't do that. Do I make you feel appreciated? If you didn't have to be around me all the time, if I wasn't paying you, would you be around me voluntarily? If you weren't related to me, would you want to be around me? Do you question my ability to tell the truth? When you don't understand my actions, can you trust my motive? Well, I don't know why she did that, but I know she had my best interest at heart. I know that, I didn't want her to say that, but I know that when she did, she meant it to help me. Or do you question my motive of being a sneaky manipulator? Do you think I'm dependable? Can you count on me? Can you list my 5 top strengths? If you can't think of 5, can you list 2? I know you can think of my 5 top weaknesses. I don't want you to answer these questions, please. This is not about me. I've already been through this painful process. Please do not list my 5 weaknesses. I'm very aware of my weaknesses. And if you could change one thing about my leadership style, what would it be? As your boss, as your teacher, as your committee member, as your mother. So the bottom line is I can change 0% of the problems that I don't know exist. I think that makes sense. If I don't know there's a problem, I certainly can't address it. So having the courage to look in the mirror and see what the issues might be, then you can start working on them to be a better leader. And, or even when I look in the mirror, I know what I see. I know what I mean. I know my heart. God knows my heart. But sometimes I need to look at what it is you're seeing. Put on your glasses for a minute and say, oh, that's what you see? And then maybe I can make some adjustments until the me that I want to be is the me that you see. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And so I did a big long list of disclaimers because everybody got an excuse to undo what I'm saying here. So number one, I know that people can get the wrong idea of you and there's nothing you can do about it. I can be aware that you think I'm a jerk all day. I can be nice to you all day and you still don't like me. There's nothing I can do about it, okay? God knows my heart. I know I tried. If I can't change your mind, then, I'm still going to be nice to you. I'm going to kill you with kindness. And you don't like me, that's fine, okay? It's your loss, okay? But I totally understand that no matter what you do, people are going to, all your suspicious people, your paranoid people, and people who've been through other experiences are looking at you through a certain lens. No matter what you do, they're going to view you on the paradigm of their past experiences. So there's nothing you can do about that, but if you're consistent, you can love people's walls down over time, and you can change their opinion of you by the fruit that you bear over time, but you can't rush that process. Okay, disclaimer number 2, I understand we don't live to please other people. I'm so worried about what other people think about me no, this is not about being consumed with other people's opinions of you. My word, you lose your mind. If the key to success was pleasing people, no, you'd lose your mind, because that can't be done. So that's not what I'm talking about. So please put this in the box where it belongs. And number 3, your personality doesn't trump scripture. Well, I'm just a direct person. Well, I'm glad we already talked about this in other videos and all my posts. Proverbs 29:11, a fool speaketh all his mind and gives vent to his anger. But I don't care what your personality type is. You still have to love each other. You still have to have wholesome speech. You still have to be patient and considerate and all those things. So that brings me to number 4. If you please God, it doesn't matter who you displease. If you know for a fact you're loving your neighbor as yourself, you're bearing all the fruit of the Spirit, you got a heart that's pure as snow, and people still don't like you, what you gonna do? They didn't like Jesus either, okay? A lot of them didn't like him, okay? So he was like the perfect leader, and they killed him. So don't sweat it if people still don't like you after you've given it your best, and you're so self-aware, But don't be so self-aware of what people want from you that you modify your principles or your integrity or your values. Of course not. So those are all my disclaimers, but just do a little self-check, and we do that every time we come to the altar, right? We just want to be aware of our condition, and we want God to fix it. Same thing is just as leaders. Let's just open our eyes and look up for a minute and say, hey, whoa, maybe I'm coming across in a way that I don't mean to, and I care enough about you to be aware of that and to change my actions so that my actions resemble some version of what my heart is trying to say. Okay, love you. Go be self-aware.